February 9th, 2018.
This is Nerd Bourbon, episode 36. I am what remains of Seth Sturgill.
And I'm Todd Sturgill. And for the record, I straight up almost said 2017.
Oh, really? I'm surprised that hasn't happened yet, actually.
Yeah, it was. I don't know why. Like it was today. I was like 20. It was like, kind of like a pause, and I was like, oh wait, 2018. It's 2018. That's right.
I have like all kinds of weird little things like that where I'll think to myself all the time. I have this weird anxiety of like, wait, did I say the right episode title or the right episode number? Or like I'll go back and listen. I'm like, for some reason, I'm like, did I forget to put the intro or the outro in? I never do, but like, I have anxiety about it for some reason. Like
well, it's like shit. Sometimes you even have anxiety with like putting the episode live.
Yeah,
So.
I'll literally wake up, even though I know that I haven't fucked up. I'm just like, shit. Is the episode live? You know, is it Friday? You know, so I don't know. I'm weird and neurotic like that. Todd, we have a very special nothing show today. I want to start by talking about. I want to take you into a cozy little hamlet nestled in the Green Peaks. You curl up next to the fire with a warm blanket, and you're introduced to Seth's Indie Corner. I feel like
I coined this like months ago.
I think it was when I did these solo shots about Tacoma. You were like, you should just do another little spin-off series called Seth's Indie Corner. And I'm like, I don't know about that, but I mean, I play a lot of indie games. Either like a
spin-off or a segment.
Yeah, I'm pretty much just gonna, I play some indie games that I want to shed some light on. And let me know if you've heard about these. The first one is called Iconoclasts. Have you heard of this?
No, I have not.
Iconoclast is I'm not too far into it, so I don't have too much to say about it, other than I really like it so far. But it's a side-scrolling kind of Metroidvania, which I swear to God describes like 90% of indie games right now. But it's really interesting. Like, the actual gameplay of it is really interesting because you play this character who is like an engineer in this world where like science and engineering is kind of outlawed, and your method of attack, you have like a gun that you can shoot. It kind of has like a Mega Man X kind of vibe because it has like a charge shot and stuff like that. But you interact with the world with your wrench and solve puzzles with it and everything. Yeah, it's I don't know. Like, I don't have a whole lot to say about it because I'm not too far into it, but it has a really interesting like world and story behind it too. Like you kind of got a taste of that when I told you about how like it's this kind of almost post-apocalypse where science and engineering is outlawed and people are kind of just scraping by, kind of under the thumb of this like this organization and these robots and shit. I don't know. It's really interesting. And I want to play more. It has like a really charming visual style. Like, it's pixel art, which is another thing that describes most indie games now. But the way that the pixel art is animated, like, it just has a really nice, bubbly, kind of like fun atmosphere to it. So that's Iconoclast. Check that out. The next one you are more likely to have heard about. It's called Celeste.
Yes, I actually have heard of this one.
Okay. So Celeste is a game I've been following for a while. This is by Matt Thornton, who did Towerfall, which is a game I fucking love. It is one of my... Towerfall is like one of the best local multiplayer games ever. When you come down for the wedding, you best believe we're playing Towerfall. Like,
I think I own Towerfall.
You might, because I think it was actually a free PS Plus game several months ago. That game is so fun. It like, I love Towerfall so much. It's just a single screen, like, really good local multiplayer game. Anyway, so this is by that guy. He's been working on this for a long time, and it is a really sort of kind of like nail-bitingly difficult 2D platformer with a surprisingly heartfelt story attached to it, where he plays this chick, Madeline, who is like climbing this mountain called Celeste. The mountain's name is Celeste. and
Okay.
she's climbing it, and she doesn't really know why. She basically just wants to like say that she's done something with her life, and it's kind of cool because oftentimes when you're playing these like really hard platformers, it often can feel like climbing a mountain. You're literally climbing a mountain in this one, and it kind of has the game that it reminds me most of is Meat Boy, but and I guess the reason why is because it's a series of single screen, kind of segmented sections. There's a lot of exploration, like you can go back and forth between the screens, but it's each section is a single screen that has like a collectible that you have to, or you don't have to, but that you can nab, and platforming challenges, and it's like really fucking hard, like basically immediately, and I'm really enjoying it because it controls really really well, like it just feels really good, like Meat Boy did, and the main sort of like gameplay gimmick, I guess, gameplay hook is that Celeste. Sorry, I keep wanting to call the main character Celeste, but Madeline, she can do a sort of like air dash. When she does that, she cannot use it again until she either touches the ground or hits like one of these gems that allows her to do it again. And
Okay.
it's one of those situations where a game like takes a very like simplistic gameplay hook and just gets like a lot of use out of it. I'm only a couple of hours in, because I just, every free moment I get is spent playing Monster Hunter, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But I'm a couple of hours in, and already there's so much use of this sort of dash mechanic, and like I said, you get these peppered in narrative beats where like she's getting in touch with her mom, who she's sort of estranged from, it seems like, and there's another kind of adventure on the mountain that she's sort of forming this relationship with. And it's weird because when you play a game like this, you don't really expect story at all, like not anything deep anyway, because like, you know, like I said, the closest corollary I have to this is Meat Boy, and Meat Boy has basically no story. But this does. So this is like, you know, all of the tight controls and great 2D platforming of something like a Super Meat Boy, but with an actual, like, legit, well-written, you know, narrative with good characters, and kind of a good character arc in this character Madeline. And yeah, I like it a lot so far. I want to play more. So yeah, that's those are the two indie games I want to shout out for Seth's Indie Corner. So you've been playing a lot more Monster Hunter World, like a lot more.
And you know what? It's still not a lot compared to other people, because like I'm still not even done with the story. A lot of people are like straight up have beaten the story at this point.
Right.
I've just finally reached the final area of the game though.
Yeah.
What's it called? The Elder's Recess or some shit like that. And I'll be real. Like,
Hang
the
on a
more
second.
I continue on in the
I think you mean the Elder's Recess.
recess, whatever.
It's
I honestly,
It's not a
I
bunch of
don't look
old
at the
people
area,
on a
dude.
playground.
Yeah, I mean, shit. Basically, a bunch of old ass monsters.
I wish. I wish. Oh my god! You just load in and you just see a bunch of gigantic elderly people, like throwing dodgeballs at each other. The Elder's Recess.
Yeah, I wasn't really paying attention to the name of the area. It is a pretty area. I actually love the way it looks.
Is that the one with like all the crystals and shit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've probably seen it.
Yeah, Donkey did a Monster Hunter video and he was in there.
Yeah, that's the final area of the game, basically. I've probably put about 60 hours into the game now.
Literally twice as much as I have at this point.
Yeah, and it's just like there's still so much shit to do in this game. Mm-hmm. Like the further you get in the story, the more shit you have to do. Like it's just like I get past the point in the story and it's just like a bunch of optional bounties and shit and pops up and it's like make a bunch of new like mantles and like hunter equipment. I'm like, cool.
Oh wait, you can make new mantles?
No, well I have quests to do them and they're garbage.
I see.
They're not like super hard from what I can tell, but it's just like I'd rather do them with you.
Right.
But Yeah, because like what was it? Like the last story mission I did was in the elders area and whatever. But I was in a new. You know they usually have to do the new areas with like you go and do with an expedition.
Mm.
Yeah, so I went into the expedition, and it's like cite all the monsters in this area. I'm like, all right,
We
cool.
we can just refer to that area as the old folks' home.
No, the old folks home, I like it. So, the old folks home over here. I was sitting there exploring it, and you basically had the Baroth of the region, which is called Uragan.
Mm-hmm.
He rolls, he sleeps, but he also blasts.
So he sort of is like a Baroth or a Radaban or whatever on crack.
Yeah, the only difference is he happens to be really he's much tougher. Like his parts are like harder to break.
Right.
But he does he throws like these molten cores basically, and they blow up. I ended up like killing all of them in one go because I was like, I'm not gonna just sit there. I'm just gonna kill you all right now so I can see your armor sets. And then I kept on like exploring. Ran across. I think the next one I ran across was the Jackrass of the area basically, and it was I forget his name, but he has a really stupid big ass like jaw, like really dumb looking.
Okay.
But his whole deal is he can do the ailment blast on you. The other guy just blows your ass up.
So blast is considered an ailment?
Yeah, blast is an ailment.
Okay.
So there's a meter with blast, and you'll blow your ass up. And actually, the way you get rid of it is you roll like the 3 times, like with fire.
Almost
blight
like fire. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Kick the dog shit out of him. The one that I had the most issue with was I'm gonna call him Lavados because he's straight up just a Juratados, like but lava based.
Oh, nice. That's pretty cool. I can imagine
He's,
the way that looks.
I think his actual name is like Lava Sloth or some shit like that.
Lava Sloth is such a good name. I wish it was a literal lava sloth.
Oh, I wish he was too.
Oh my
But
god!
yeah, like when I found him, like when I saw him, I'm like, okay, you're legit just a lava version of a jackass.
God damn
all right,
it!
cool.
Sorry, I'm just so like I am so enraptured by the idea of just this like lava sloth with like molten rock.
I honestly I would prefer if it was a lava sloth because I'll be real, he does some damage. Like just like if you get hit by his like because he spits out lava.
That's good.
And that shit blows up.
That's good because the water-based version of him is a little bitch. So.
Oh yeah, he's a straight little bitch. I think the only reason I was actually kind of having issues with him is not because of him. It was because the other 2 that I killed came back during the expedition, and they were just all in the same room.
Oh, that
I'm like,
sucks.
this is fantastic. This is fantastic. I love this. And I'm by myself, so I'm like, all right, cool. Trying to knock it all out. And then it's like you get past that point of the game, and it's just like, still more shit. I think I sent you a video like yesterday. I'm like, this game's never ending, dude. It's just never fucking ending.
Yeah.
I honestly do feel like I'm gonna be playing this game for like I'm gonna be playing. Personally, I'm probably gonna be playing this game like all year and then some.
I think what Monster Hunter is gonna become for me. I think I'm gonna be playing it. I think it'll be my main game basically for the rest of February, and then I think in March, like when Kirby and Far Cry start to come out, that's when I'll kind of put it down for a good while, and that's when I'll kind of cool it with Monster Hunter, and I'll be like, you know what, because by then I will have beaten the story hopefully and stuff like that, and I'll be pretty well set, and I'll pretty much just jump back on whenever they give the free DLC updates that Capcom has promised. So.
I'm gonna be playing that game indefinitely.
I sort of feel like that's gonna be my sort of station with Monster Hunter, and I'm okay with that. I mean, I've put like 35, 36 hours into it, and I mean that's way more than I've put into any game this side of like Zelda and Mario. So for me to put that much time into a game, especially in it's been out for not even 2 weeks now. I mean, that's a lot of gameplay hours for me. So I want to have more free time for it, but I'm a busy man, Todd. I want to discuss something with you briefly. So there are a few things that happened this past week. So we are Americans. We're fat, greasy Americans, and a tradition, a ritual, if you will, that Americans engage in the first Sunday of every February, when the blood moon is high. We engage in a ritual called the Ritual of the Superb Owl, and it is a sporting event where men attempt to kill each other.
The superb owl, I love it.
And during this, I mean, I don't think either of us give a flying fuck about sports.
No, I really don't.
But they utilize this because, there are just so many fucking eyes glued to a TV screen. It is prime time for commercials and ads and stuff like that, and trailers and blah blah blah. So 2 notable things happened during the Super Bowl this year that were relevant to my interests and to your interests. The first of which is the trailer for the Solo Star Wars movie. You've seen this, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
How did you feel about this trailer?
I mean, it wasn't a bad trailer. It was all right.
There's something about this trailer that puts me off about it. I don't know what it is.
What exactly?
I
just you don't even know.
I can't quite put my finger on it. It just has I don't know if it's this guy's performance. I forget his name, Alden something, Alden Eichenreich or some shit. Whoever is playing young Han Solo. There's just something about his performance in the trailer, and this is just a trailer. And by the way, just to preface, I don't normally watch trailers. I usually abstain from trailers for both games and movies until the only time I will watch a game trailer is if it is a big deal or if it's at E3 or something like that. And the only time I'll watch a movie trailer is if I'm seeing it on the big screen, when I'm actually in the theater, or if it's something where I just can't resist. If there's a new Star Wars trailer, I'm going to watch it. I just love Star Wars too much. But there's just something about this one. I don't know what it is. It's a confluence of a few things, because the fucking movie, I mean, it comes out in May, which I was a little surprised. I sort of predicted in my own head that this was going to get delayed till December. December has ostensibly, since The Force Awakens has come out, December has kind of been the Star Wars month, because we had Force Awakens in December. The following year we had Rogue One also in December, and then last year we had The Last Jedi in December. So it's a bit weird to come into this to Solo kind of being released unceremoniously on May 25th or something like that. I don't know. There's just something about it, and we're only just now seeing footage of it, and the movie comes out in May. It almost feels to me, it almost reads to me like Disney is just kind of quietly sweeping the movie under the rug, and it's all right, this is a Star Wars movie. Go watch it. We'll make our we'll make our money. But I almost feel I don't know. It almost doesn't feel legit to me, in a weird way. I don't have the excitement coming into this that I should for a movie about Han Solo, Yeah,
I can agree with that.
I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the something about the dude's performance put me off. I don't like it does the typical take the theme you love and slow it down shit that just annoys me. I hate that. I fucking hate that. And I don't know. I love the idea of of a young Han Solo and kind of seeing what he got up to and this, that, and the other. I don't necessarily think that this movie needs to exist. As a large-scale, big-budget movie, I would much prefer... I really like the idea of Rogue One. I have problems with Rogue One, but Rogue One is the type of content that I want to see, with new characters and things that actually matter. But Rogue One felt very large-scale, but it also felt very small, Mm-hmm. And I love that about it. That's one of the things I actually love about that movie, even though I have issues with it. And Han Solo, a young Han Solo movie just seems kind of, I don't know. And there's all this weirdness where the guys who like directed the Lego movie were like originally attached, and they dropped off because of creative differences and stuff like that. And now Ron Howard kind of picked up the reins, and I don't know. There's just between the movie's development and this sort of lukewarm trailer for me, I can't say that I'm still gonna see it. It's Star Wars, dude. I'm gonna be there day one, but I just get the feeling. I just have this sense of like dread coming into this, where I'm just like, I think this might be the first mediocre one. You know, like,
well, to some people, The Last Jedi was.
Oh yeah, I know. But I can't shake the sense of dread of just like, I feel like this is gonna be the first one that's kind of like not great. I think it's gonna be at least good. Just existing in the Star Wars universe for 2 hours is gonna be good, you know. But I feel like this is gonna be the weakest one that we've seen of Disney's Star Wars movies so far. I really hope I'm proven wrong. I want to love it more than anything. And if
you know, I actually remember like back when like with Rogue One, we saw way more like footage from that, like way more trailers than like, we've ever seen for this one.
This just feels like there's something about it that just feels like a fucking Frankenstein's monster to me. Like, it's like, oh, like so much development was done, and the directors dropped out. Now Ron Howard's kind of taking up the reins and finishing the job. Oh, it's being released unceremoniously in May, with the first footage being released in February. And this was not even a long trailer. We got a teaser during the Super Bowl, and then the next day they released like a minute and a half long trailer. So I mean, we still have only seen an accumulatively like I think 2 minutes of footage. That's not a lot for a movie that's coming out in like 3 months. You know, I mean, it's just something. I got a bad feeling about this. You know, no pun intended. I know that's the Star Wars line, but
you intended that.
but I do. I just have. There's just something in my balls, man. There's something in my balls. I feel it. I feel bad about it. I hope I'm wrong. I would love nothing more than to be proven wrong. And if there is a fucking God, if there is a God and he cares about me, Dengar will be in this movie. My boy Dengar, who has a lot of relevance to young Han Solo, should appear in this movie if there is a God. We have not seen him at all. He's been woefully misrepresented in the Star Wars movie universe. The other notable thing that happened during the Ritual of the Superb Owl is a shadow drop of a new Cloverfield movie. Now,
oh yes,
you and I have not had a chance to watch this yet. We were planning on watching it, but we weren't able to. Hopefully, we'll get to watch it soon. We would like to watch it and then like do a shots for you guys about it with our thoughts. But man, what the fuck, right? Like,
yeah, I didn't expect that.
I mean, there are all these rumors, like, because it used to be called like God Particle as the working title and stuff like that. There are all these rumors about like stuff, and then a few days before the Super Bowl, there were the rumors came out that it was going to be a Netflix thing, but I don't think anybody expected it to be available that day. I mean, crazy. Now, that being said, the reviews have been pretty mediocre, honestly.
Really? I haven't looked at any of them.
It sounds like it's kind of the weakest of the Cloverfield movies that we've gotten so far, but I mean, and you know, when we do the shots, I'll say this again, the first Cloverfield is like, it would be probably in my top 20 favorite movies of all time. I just love that movie. Like, I fucking love that movie. I think I actually introduced you to that movie recently, right?
Yeah, it's because I think we watched the second one together. And then I was like, I never watched the first one. Then we watched the first one like within like the next couple days.
Yeah, I think 10 Cloverfield Lane like popped up on like Netflix or Hulu or something like that, and I think we watched that together, and you enjoyed it, and I was like, oh man, have you seen the first one? You know, because the first one's even better in my opinion, and then yeah, we went and watched and that movie still totally holds up. Like I fucking love that movie. So I love what the Cloverfield sort of movie universe has become, sort of this movie Twilight Zone, Black Mirror sort of thing, where it's like an anthology thing. From what I've heard, this one actually ties into the Cloverfield universe more than 10 Cloverfield Lane did.
Okay.
So I'm really intrigued by it, and I really, really want to watch it when we both have time to do so. But what a crazy thing. I mean, I was thinking about this where, it's a little bit unprecedented for a major movie like this to be shadow dropped on Netflix, with no announcement. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's crazy to me. And, it got me thinking, within the next few years, especially once Disney gets its streaming service off the ground, we talked about this, I think, a couple episodes ago, how fucking crazy would it be if Disney shadow drops, like, a Marvel movie? You know what I mean?
Ooh.
Like, if Disney has, like, a streaming service and they shadow drop, like, hey, like, Ant-Man 3 or something like that is now, bam, streaming on our service. A high budget with the quality of the MCU movies and the budget of the MCU movies. That is the biggest risk that I think somebody could ever take. But man, that would be insane. And Disney's got the money to do something crazy like that. Mm-hmm. They could take the bite on not putting it out in theaters, and they would be fine. I mean, that'd be fucking nuts. The possibilities are endless. I think Netflix has sort of opened the floodgates because, like it or not, even though it sounds like the movie has problems, everybody was wanting to watch that movie after the Super Bowl ended. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
everybody was interested in it. Even people that don't know what the fuck Cloverfield is were interested in that movie at that point. Very, very smart marketing technique. But I haven't seen the movie for myself yet. I can't speak to the quality in my own opinion, but I mean, I really hope that if this happens again, I hope that the movies are can hold mustard against it, because it sounds like this one's kind of weak, but I still really want to see it and form my own opinion. So yeah, you'll probably get a shots from us about that soon, I hope. With that, unless there's anything else you wanted to bring up, Todd, I wanted to talk about something that you and I did last night. That sounds way dirtier than it actually is.
That sounds worse. That sounds so bad when you said it like that.
So we did something filthy last night.
I mean, I was doing some filthy shit.
Yeah, you were. We engaged in a 4-hour-long session of Dungeons and Dragons. Now, the way we did this has kind of been a long time coming. I know you've wanted to do this for a while.
Well, yeah, it was always something that we talked about for the last couple of years.
So, yeah, and recently I sort of got back into the D&D fold, and I'll give my history with the game and stuff like that, but I sort of got pulled back into D&D with 5th edition and stuff like that, and I kind of had the gears turning. I'm a writer, and I've kind of had the gears turning in my head for like stories that I want to tell and stuff like that. So, it made sense to kind of get a group together for D&D, and my siblings who are now like 15 and 16 expressed interest in playing D&D, and it's so weird because I didn't even like coerce them into it. They just kind of like brought it up at the same time as I was getting back into the game. It just sort of happened like that, and so I was like, you know what? So let's get the group together and let's play D&D. So our group for this campaign is my fiance Anastasia as a wood elf druid, my younger sister Hope as a half orc bard, my younger brother Travis as a dragonborn barbarian, and then you as a dwarf paladin. And the setup was interesting because obviously, Todd lives in Chicago and we're down here in the Louisiana bayou. So basically what I did was I got everybody gathered around the table and got us set up on the table, and I literally had Todd at the other end of the table on my laptop on Skype, almost like he was like a little robot on the other side of the table, just kind of phoning in from afar. And we played D&D, and it worked way better than I thought it would. I think it went really well. Did you have a good time?
Oh, dude, I enjoyed every second of it. It was a good time, man. You popped my cherry.
God, could this we need to get away from the home between this and the episode of Eats we did.
I enjoy doing the sexual innuendos.
The sexual tension is high in this podcast lately. No, like I have some experience with Dungeons and Dragons. I ran a game for about a year and a half back in the day. I think I started in, let's see, I was invited to play 4th edition in like 2008, and I ran with a group of 4, and essentially like they kind of were like, oh, Seth, you'd like to write, why don't you take over DMing and stuff like that? And ever since then, I literally have not been a player of Dungeons and Dragons since 2008. I've always been the DM, which I guess is a good thing. That means that people like my shit and like the way that I DM.
The first little session we had, I enjoyed you.
God damn it. Taken out of context. But, like, so it is fun to be a DM, but there is a part of me that misses kind of being a player, but it went smoothly. Like I was really actually surprised at how easily everybody sort of understood the rules. I kind of thought there was going to be a lot more like stumbling about the rules, but everybody kind of got caught onto it pretty quickly. I was really happy with the experience, and I was really impressed with everybody because I think there's a lot of like potential for awkwardness. I think when we first started, once you kind of first get the ball rolling, there's a little bit of awkwardness. I had everybody sort of introduce their characters, and there's a little bit of like kind of shaking off the rust and getting everybody comfortable with each other. But
yeah, like there was a little icebreaker shit that we used to do in like high school type shit, like the first
right, and that's the reason why I do that. The reason why I have everybody introduce their characters is because I think it sort of gets sets the stage really nicely, especially since this is the first adventure, and you just want to get people talking. You know what I mean? Because like, it's Dungeons and Dragons. It's so easy to get people that just kind of like stay silent the whole time. And what was really nice is once the gears started turning and people really started coming out of their shell, I was really impressed by how well everybody was gelling together. Even just in this first session, I know that the group dynamic is just going to get better as you guys play more and as I put you guys through more shit. But I was really kind of impressed by like, Hope playing her character Lapos. Like, she was like really funny and like made for some good comedic moments, And then you and what I was really impressed with you is that you were actually role playing your character, which is something that I think a lot of people are uncomfortable with. And it was nice because it was nice to see, because you essentially, even to the point of putting the party in danger in a few moments.
Yep.
You stuck with it and you role played your character to a T, And it's funny because I definitely played into that. I was basically grinding on you. Like, I was just like,
oh, I know. I'm because again, like during like that whole like situation, I was kind of like quietly just listening to this shit. I'm just like, oh, you going down?
There was a situation where I was playing as this sort of like boss type character, who I gave him sort of a femininity, kind of a charming femininity to him.
Yeah, you made him very charismatic, and it worked for the rest of the party.
And for the rest of the party was just sort of like, okay, like I think my goal was to make him charming but still intimidating, because at the end of the day, he did have the advantage. And it was funny because the rest of the party was like kind of hiding in the shadows. And he was like, yeah, that shit don't work. I can see them over there, basically. And so charming yet intimidating. And then it came to the point where like I was really like, everybody was cool, just kind of like being like, all right, peace, like let's go. And I was like, let me just dig in and just see if they're really comfortable with leaving me alive, basically. And you were not. Mm-hmm. You're like, fuck that, I'm killing this motherfucker. So it was good to see that. I'm glad that I'm glad that I did not have a party of like kind of mumblers and people who just kind of went with the flow of things, because the fun part about being a DM is having to improvise. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was prepared either way. I was prepared to fight, which is what we ended up doing. But
yeah,
it was nice that you guys did not just like stay the course. I could sort of, with my words, guide you in certain ways. And like I said, in a lot of ways, I played into how I knew you were going to feel about it.
Yeah, because again, like I was kind of like, when I was making my character, you were kind of with me.
Yeah.
Like like on Skype and stuff, and I'm like, I was getting further into the backstory than like I thought I would.
Yeah,
with my character.
I think you've really taken to role playing in a way that even I didn't expect you to.
Yeah, like I really enjoy. I enjoy my old boy Magni Goldenforge.
Do we want to tell the folks at home kind of his deal?
I mean, we can.
Yeah.
It's just, he's a old boy. He's 325 years old. He's a sweet boy.
Very soft and smooth.
He is. I did go with the haunted past, but I didn't do the whole like. It is similar to like the whole like stereotypical like family's dead shit,
right?
But to a different extent.
It's not. That's the one thing that always like bums me out is when somebody approaches me and says, "Yeah, my whole village was slaughtered," and I'm like, "Oh, great."
Yeah, I didn't go for that. I went with like, because I'm a paladin, but my holy symbol that I use to like use my spells and whatnot is a poetry book that was given to me. Well, not given to me. It was taken off my mother's corpse after she died protecting me in a battle when I was but a wee little boy. And that is something that has driven this character to protect, to stop evil. And that's, again, what has put the group in danger a couple situations, so just in the first session.
Yeah. And it's funny because, like, when you and I were sort of working together on this character a little bit, and, I hate the haunted one background is fine, but what I like about this, it's fine if you're going to do the generic kind of like, oh, I had this tragedy or my village was slaughtered or whatever, but have an interesting angle to it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Because all of these characters have kind of, troubled backgrounds. I'm not going to go into everybody's background here, but they all have kind of troubled backgrounds, but they have interesting spins on them. And what I really enjoyed was I really enjoyed kind of seeing the interplay and the way that I was really impressed with my little brother Trav. He really has a head for this stuff. He really has some good ideas, and he was piping in like there were some wolves that were barking. He had the idea to feed them, Yeah,
that was actually.
And that was smart.
What would have happened if he didn't feed them?
If you guys had, and again, this is stuff that the DM has to think about, right? Because if you guys had allowed them to continue barking for too long, Anastasia tried to speak with the wolves unsuccessfully. She literally failed her roll like 3 times.
That was hilarious.
She unsuccessfully tried to speak with the wolves. If you guys had let them bark for too much longer, the wolves would have alerted other goblins in the cave.
Okay.
And you guys would have had to fight the goblins and the wolves. But Trav had the idea to feed them to quiet them down, And you just have to, as a DM, you just sort of have to prepare for everything. Because when you guys got to my pools encounter, where Toto's Africa was being played.
And again, I will say this, I want more of the soundtrack going on.
Could you hear the music pretty well?
Yeah, that's why I was like trying not to laugh.
Okay. I wasn't sure how well you could hear the music on your side of things. Yeah, so basically the encounter was these goblins were sort of bathing in a pool. three goblins sort of bathing in these pools and listening to Africa by Toto and just sort of relaxing. And they opted to try to sneak past them. And surprisingly, all of you pulled it off. I was not expecting that. I was fully expecting for somebody to fuck up. And you guys were definitely, my idea was, if you guys are going to have to fight these goblins, you would have had to fight them naked, and all of you would have had disadvantage the entire time because they're naked. Basically, you guys are like, oh shit.
That's good.
Oh, they're naked. It's horrible.
Good. Speaking of garbage rolls, let's talk about my god tier rolls.
Yes. So, in the situation that I guess we'll talk about this by first talking about another thing. So when Todd made his character, he made his character on D&D Beyond and was not given a weapon based on his choices. Yeah. So
yeah, for my choices, I got a chainmail armor and I got my holy symbol. That was it. I wasn't able to choose a weapon.
Yeah. So I was like, well, that's kind of lame. Let me give you a weapon. So he goes for the greataxe. Now, as it turns out, not only is the greataxe pretty powerful just on its own, but he also gets a proficiency with it because he's a dwarf. There's a dwarven proficiency, which I think was just a happy accident, right?
Yeah, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, it was just an accident. So essentially, it got to the point where Todd's attack is literally like, he can do a maximum of like 17 damage. He can do a minimum of 6 and a maximum of 17 damage. Just fucking, casually. And then he also has like healing capabilities, which I'm glad you do, because it seems like, at least right now, nobody else really has any.
Yeah, that's the main, that's why I wanted to give those health potions to Anastasia and Ashea and fucking Lapnos.
Yeah, right. That was another thing.
Because like
I was actually impressed by another thing. I was impressed with Trav when you guys looted Clark, his chest or whatever. He actually was like, "Well, I feel like Todd Magni. I feel like he should kind of decide how this stuff is split up, since he was the one that did most of the damage. Because you essentially took Clark on your own." And yeah. I'll be real, like, if I didn't, like, because of Todd's OP weapon, I basically had to beef up all of my enemies. And he literally would have, like, one-shotted Clark if I did not beef up my my enemies' hit points. So,
yeah, it's like even when it was a Shea, that finished off Clark. It was just like it was one of those moments. I'm like, you're welcome.
You still accounted for 34 points of damage. So
yeah.
But Trav was like, yeah, let's let him kind of decide. And you, I respected it because you hit back with like, I don't even want the money. Justice is its own reward.
Oh yeah, that was kind of my deal. I'm like, because like a lot of the time I'm in my character's mindset. Like that's exactly why I put them in that situation in the first place. And again, to a certain extent, I was guilty about that. So I was like, no, we're gonna. I don't need the money. I know, like I was given some, but I was like, it's fine.
Yeah.
But like I turned down like the silver and whatever.
Yeah, I think you got some copper, but you turned down the silver portion of the bounty, and I respected that. Yeah. That's basically this first session could not have gone any better. It really, in my mind, was a total success, and I really loved the way that the interplay was happening. I feel like people were really coming out of their shell. Trav has really taken to it and really loves it, and they're already itching to come back and play again. What I really love about Dungeons and Dragons just in general is like it just leaves the door so far open. Like you can make up your own rules as you go. There are things that are in the rule book that I'm not necessarily abiding by. I may be going off of like characters and location beats from the starting adventure, Lost Mine of Phandelver, but I am variating a lot as well. Basically the locations and the characters are basically the only things I'm keeping. Like, and maybe the rough outline, but for the most part, it's all original stuff by me. And I'll say this: I can't spoil anything for you because you are now one of the pawns in my sick game.
No, I know.
But shit is gonna get weird.
I'm like really looking forward to it, dude. Like I'm like excited to play, to do another session.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Dungeons and Dragons is just it's a really good way for me to like scratch a lot of like creative itches, because I love to write, but it's hard to write when you don't have something to write. When you don't have a purpose. So I'm now writing 2 D&D campaigns, and I'll give you a little tease and say that you can expect maybe some interplay between the 2 campaigns.
Oh, okay.
The 2 campaigns may coalesce a little bit.
Oh, awesome.
And it's really interesting because for me, like writing, it's a real challenge because I have 2 different parties that I'm playing with, but then it's also kind of like this one conjoined world where something that one party does is going to affect what the other party is seeing. It's a huge undertaking, like for my like workload with it. It's like really difficult, but I think it's going to be fucking, when we get to the end of it, when I get both parties to the end of their line, it's going to be fucking dope. I hope. And it's funny because I had the intention of kind of making like a podcast, like yet another piece of content for Nerd Bourbon.
Well, I kind of think that like it's still gonna be a part of it. Like I feel like we're probably like every time we play, we might like the next week or the episode is gonna probably like an update. Like there's gonna be like a D&D update or some shit.
Give like a brief synopsis of like what we did that week in D&D or something like that. But
yeah.
But it's really good, and I'm glad that you enjoyed it. I'm glad that everybody had a good time. I'm glad that everybody sort of came out of their shell, and as the story ramps up, I think things are gonna get really fucking weird. And again,
I'm gonna say one thing.
What's that?
I was in the clutch with the lay on hands. Just saying.
Yeah, the lay on hands was definitely a useful asset. The one regret that I have, I should have, before we ended the session, the only reason I didn't do this is because it was getting kind of late, and I thought I was going to have to work that night. Turned out I did have to work that night, so I'm glad I went to bed when I did. I ended up getting called in, but I should have had you guys go ahead and level up before we stopped. So next time we play, the first thing we'll do is have everybody level up.
You realize the mistake you're making there? You're upping my damage even more, boy.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I can't just fucking keep you at first level.
Searing smite, here I come.
But yeah, so everybody's gonna be leveled up, and I'll give you a little tease. With the way things are going, you may find yourself in a situation soon where you don't have your weapon to lean on. So.
Oh no.
So there's your tease. Oh,
no. We're gonna be imprisoned.
You don't know that. So yeah, Dungeons and Dragons is really good and really creative, and I think if you have a story that you want to tell and you have a good group of fellows to roll with, Dungeons and Dragons is a really valuable tool. And I really like, you can pick up the starter kit for like $20 on Amazon. Has everything you need. You can absolutely just go with the stock Lost Mine of Phandelver, or you can do what I'm doing and just sort of pepper it with your own kind of flavor. But I don't know. It's a really special game, and I'm happy to be diving back into it. I'm happy to be like sharing it with you and kind of making you understand why I love it. And why I have loved it for the past 10 years, So, it's good. Dungeons and Dragons is good. Anyway, you got anything else to say before we wrap it up?
I think that covers it, man.
All right. Well, you guys have been listening to Nerd Bourbon. If you've had a good time listening to these nerds talk about Dungeons and Dragons and rolling dice and shit, go ahead and throw us a sub or a follow. Whatever service you're listening to us on. If there is a service we aren't currently on that you want us on, let me know so I can make that happen. Throw any questions, thoughts, comments, or concerns that you may have my way, and you'll get those read on the show. You can also find us on Facebook at facebook.com/nerdbourbon. We are at nerdbourbon on Twitter. And as I always say, the best and only way for us to grow is if you tell your friends about us. So thank you guys so much for listening and spreading the word. Get fucking dunked on. Bye.
See ya.